You'll never think of the heat of the dog days the same way again. Welcome to American Esoterica. If history class gives you the bow wow wow, this is the yippee yo yippee yay. The essential stuff in between. The personalities, events, and other ephemera that shape our history and culture. I'm Brian Powers. This one is going to be gross and more than a little bit cruel towards animals. So you've been warned from the start. It's okay if you want to nope on out of it. Radioactivity has been a hot subject for researchers since it was first discovered. And that goes quadruple for the height of the Cold War. In the early 60s, some researchers at the University of Chicago decided that they wanted to study the effects of radiation on organic matter. So they reached out to the folks at the Oak Ridge X-10 nuclear reactor, who were only too happy to oblige. This is the sad part. The Oak Ridge staff exposed several dogs to high amounts of radiation, and shockingly, the dogs did not survive the experiment. The researchers in Chicago still wanted to study the carcasses. So, exhibiting a stunning lack of care for, nuclear scientists, the Oak Ridge folks packed up the dogs into 55-gallon drums and loaded them onto a flatback truck for the drive to Chicago. Now is where it takes a turn for the icky. The courier decided to stop for lunch at a burger joint in Clarksville, Tennessee. That seems to be a pretty circuitous route if you're headed to Chicago, but it makes more sense if you know that this particular burger joint happened to employ the courier's girlfriend. So it's a hot July day, and the courier stops for a little bit more than a burger, which takes a little time, and he leaves the truck parked in the sun for a while. Time enough, at least, for the contents of the drums to react poorly with the heat generated by the sun beating down on them. The pressure from the rapidly decomposing carcasses inside the drums kept building up and up until, finally, there was an explosion. A couple of the drums blew up, scattering a horrifying mess everywhere. But that wasn't the worst part. These weren't just poorly stored animal carcasses. These were radioactive poorly stored animal carcasses. By coupling a lunch stop with a lovin' stop, the driver inadvertently created a radioactive no-go site. Luckily, this all happened in close proximity to Fort Campbell on the border of Kentucky and Tennessee, specifically a portion of the fort known as Clarksville Base. Clarksville Base was opened in 1948 as one of the very first nuclear weapons storage sites in the country. It once held fully 1/3 of the nation's nuclear arsenal, so it was fairly high on the list of Soviet Union targets during the Cold War. And with that many nuclear weapons on hand, Clarksville Base happened to have a crew just right for the job. A Broken Arrow team, a group of specialists devoted to handling nuclear mishaps. The Broken Arrow team cleaned up the mess and kept it all out of the papers, and the whole thing remained classified for years. If you're in Clarksville and want to visit the spot where there was once a complete mess of toxicity caused by male idiocy in the face of raging libido, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better monument than what's there now, the local Hooters restaurant. This has been American Esoterica. All sounds were made by me, Brian Powers. Did I get it wrong? Did I get it right? Just want to tell me your favorite wing sauce? Drop me a note! The address is yell@americanesoterica.com. Thank you for listening, and God bless America.